You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Thanks for listening. And just in case you stumbled upon us by accident, this is the Brian Craig Show podcast. We are on all podcast platforms and YouTube. On YouTube, just search Brian Craig. The podcast will come up, and my other things that I do on YouTube as well. Well, a lot is happening, and we got some exciting news out of NewsMax TV. You know, NewsMax TV has played a large role in saving this country, because Fox News got very arrogant. They took us for granted. They became number one because of conservative viewers, and then they've become mainstream media that's very anti-Trump, and they took us for granted, and they figured, well, where are they going to go? They're going to go to CNN or MSNBC? No. And then out of the blue, NewsMax was just amazing, and it's an amazing story, NewsMax, and they made a big announcement today. They have announced that starting in June, Greta Van Susteren will be joining their primetime lineup starting at 6 p.m. Eastern, replacing Sean Spicer.
Good.
And
I'm not a fan of his. I like his co-host, Lindsay.
Yeah.
She's great. I can't stand him, and I never understood why they gave him a show. He's boring, and he looked ridiculous on Dancing with the Stars. I think he was leaking stories to the press, leaking lies when he was working with Trump.
Yeah.
Good riddance. Well, he's not gone officially, but she's taken his spot.
They said Sean Spicer's show will be moving to another time slot, and they didn't say where.
Oh.
So
maybe during the day.
I don't know.
On the weekend.
I don't know. The Sean Spicer show, what I don't like about it, it's called Spicer and Co., Spicer and Company.
Yeah.
And he's got this lady co-host who's very good. Her name's Lindsay.
I think so, yeah. I don't know. He doesn't put her name in the title.
And that's the problem. Her name is not in the title of the show. It's Spicer and Co., and he's got this one co-host. He can't put her name on the show, and I just think it's
Does co
ridiculous.
Mean company or co-host?
No, company.
Oh,
She's company.
She's the company and all his other. It's a good name if he didn't have a co-host, because company's like his guests.
If you have like a rotating panel or something, it would be fine.
I just could not believe him on Dancing with the Stars. First of all, he could not dance. I don't understand these people that go on the show knowing they have zero rhythm.
Yeah.
They embarrass themselves. And I remember you and I, now I don't watch that show anymore because with Tyra Banks, it's unwatchable. But when he first came on, you and I were watching it, and he came out with this lime green, fluorescent green flamenco shirt.
Yeah.
He looked ridiculous. And I said to you, why would he let them put this on him? Why wouldn't he say to them, I am not wearing that shirt. There's no way in hell. He looked ridiculous. I don't know what he was thinking. That was the end of whatever career he might have had.
No, I wouldn't have worn that shirt.
My goodness.
They put him in the shirt to humiliate him.
Absolutely.
Because ABC hates Trump. Remember,
it worked.
ABC's Disney. But anyway, so Greta Van Susteren's coming to Newsmax, and everyone's making a big deal about this. Now, I just want to tell you a couple things, okay? I do not dislike Greta Van Susteren. I like her.
I like her.
I don't remember her show too much at all. In fact, she was both on Fox and MSNBC. She quit Fox on her own. She was not let go from Fox. She quit Fox. Then she went to MSNBC. And I remember her show being on, but nothing stands out in my mind that happened on her Fox or MSNBC show. She seems likable and all, although Kathy and I think she looks like Don Johnson from the Miami Vice days.
Yeah, I mean,
Doesn't
not as good looking as Don Johnson.
But
the hair and the clothes, maybe.
But I guess people think she's fair and likable. I
like her.
I don't know why everyone's making a big deal about Greta Van Susteren.
I know why.
Going on Newsmax TV.
Because she worked for Fox. She's a name. She
Years
worked for
ago.
Not really, but we all watched her. She worked for MSNBC.
Well, she's famous.
She was connected to OJ, and I knew when she hosted that debate with Dr. Oz for Newsmax, I said to you, they're going to give her a show.
That's right.
That's why they're letting her on here. Now, I'd really like to see them hire Megyn Kelly, but I don't think they have the money to pay her because I could see her demanding a lot.
Yeah.
But I think I've said this before with Newsmax when they brought on Eric Bolling, that they are going to slowly turn Newsmax into Fox. And they're going to start, as they make more money, they're going to start bringing in the Fox personalities. They have them on as guests. They have Bill O'Reilly, Megyn Kelly. They have the one with all
Tristan
the lighting. Regan. They have her on all the time. So they have all the ex-Fox hosts as contributors. They're all going to eventually give them shows, and it's going to become Fox 2.0.
I just hope it doesn't become mainstream like Fox has. But a couple things about Greta Van Susteren that I think are concerning to me. Okay? One of the two is not this, is that I just have no recollection of one memorable moment on her show, which tells me it was just average and mediocre. With other shows, there's always things that stand out. On any other show I've watched, I can remember moments. I cannot remember a single moment from Greta Van Susteren.
I like her show.
But there's two things about her that I think should give some pause. One is that she's a Scientologist, which I find very weird.
Yeah, but whatever.
I mean, Tom Cruise is a Scientologist. I like Tom Cruise.
I love Tom Cruise.
But, he's weird. Right? Remember that, that video with him by the lamp and stuff?
Yeah, no, yeah. They're all, so it's a weird religion, whatever you want to call it.
Anyone, and I like Kirstie Alley, okay? She's very conservative, Kirstie Alley, if you follow her on Twitter.
I love her. She loves Trump.
But she does. But I'm very suspicious of Scientologists because it's a weird thing. And if you've seen that Leah Remini show, it's really a frightening religion. And the fact that she's a Scientologist, I think, is just really odd. It to me, it doesn't seem like now there are some exceptions. I like John Travolta, I like Kirstie Alley, and I like Tom Cruise, okay? But they're actors. There's a conflict between being a Scientologist and being a credible person when it comes to news and politics. And I know Greta Van Susteren, I did see her moderate that Dr. Oz debate. I thought she did good on that.
She did a good job.
Yeah, I thought she did good. And she'd been off TV for a long time, at least so far as I know, and she did good. But I just have a weird thing about Scientology and Scientologist and Leah Remini's show. I know a lot of you guys have seen it. It is a really freaky, bizarre, made-up religion.
And she grew up in that religion.
Now,
so she
did she
know.
Really?
Oh, yeah. She was a Scientologist as a kid. Her
really?
Parents...
Oh, Leah Remini.
Yeah,
I thought you meant Greta Van Susteren.
Leah Remini. Her parents were Scientologists, and she went to the camps and was sent away to work and everything.
I thought you meant Greta Van Susteren. So that's one thing about her, that she's a Scientologist, and
that doesn't bother me.
It's weird. I don't know if I would trust a Scientologist.
Well, I like her show. I don't like every show that's in your face, and sometimes I just like to sit and watch a show that's informative. And I think she's a very good interviewer. She lets people talk. She's very intelligent. I'm sure she doesn't like Trump. I mean, I could be wrong, but I can't see her liking him. But she's able to, you know what I like about her? She's not emotionally involved. She is able to be professional about these things without getting crazy like some people do. Like when you watch The View, it just angers me to see even clips of that show. When I watch Greta, if she has people on that I don't agree with, I don't leave upset or angry. I just leave, that was interesting. And I don't mind shows like that. But what do you think the new lineup is? Okay, they have Eric Bowling on at 4. And I have to say that's a horrible time slot because we're usually recording or doing something. I never watch his show because of the time. I just don't watch TV at 4 o'clock. It's a bad time.
Yeah, we're usually recording the podcast or at the time Eric Bowling's on.
And I'm disappointed in the show. It's not very highly produced.
The times I watch it, it looks like he's doing the show like from his house or an office, and the lighting's awful.
Yeah.
And he's always sweating. He kind of reminds me the way I like Eric Bowling.
Yeah.
But he looks like not overweight, but the way he sweats and everything, he reminds me of when Bob Beckel was on the 5. Like he's had martini lunches.
This is what I'd like them to do.
Like he's been working all day and he's tired.
Yeah, I don't think the format of working or doing something else. I don't like the format of Eric alone. I just don't think he's strong alone.
No.
What I would do, and I thought he would be, I would have a 5 type show at 5 o'clock to go up against the 5. And I would bring in Bowling, Kelly, Greg Kelly, maybe Megyn Kelly. I would bring in a 5-person panel. That format really works on Fox with Outnumbered and the 5, and I would have a show competing with them. The 4 o'clock against Neil Cavuto's boring. And then I would lead into Greta And then the prime time.
Well, they're not going to mess with Greg Kelly because he's doing so well.
No, he's fan. But I'm saying that would be a better lineup in my opinion.
Yeah, and Chris Salcedo seems all right, but I just not a big fan of his show. I can't get into Chris Salcedo.
They might be giving Sean his time slot now and getting rid of him.
Who? Sean. Oh, Sean Spicer.
Spicer might get the 3 o'clock or 5 o'clock or whenever he's on.
Sean Spicer's a name, and he does have President Trump's phone number. So let me get back to Greta Van Susteren. So the first thing that I am cautious about, like I said, is her Scientology. That's a big one with me. That's just kind of very strange. The other one, well, I just question her sanity. The second one is this. Kathy, if you watch the Leah Remini, Tom Cruise and all these Scientologists, when like non-Scientologists are around, walk around in naval uniforms. And they have that school thing here in
people
Florida.
That wear Star Trek uniforms.
They're not a religion.
And go to conventions and
never
pretend that they're working on the bridge.
Have you ever seen me in a Star Trek uniform?
But you trust those people.
No, I don't. No, I don't. No, but it's a strange thing.
I agree, but she seems totally lucid to me. Mm-hmm. And I don't get the appeal of Scientology. But I think people that grew up in the religion, like Leah Remini, have a different experience that people come into it as adults. And from what I understand, it's a religion where you bare your soul and tell them all your dirty little secrets. And maybe she seems to like that.
Part of this problem with being a Scientologist is I hear these things of how they take these Scientologists into these rooms, they confess everything, and they record everything. And like Tom Cruise and John Travolta, they have like their entire life worth of tapes that they could hold over their head. So that's okay. So that's one problem.
Yeah. Tell us what you guys think of Greta.
Because and the reason it doesn't bother me with like Tom Cruise or John Travolta or Kirstie Alley, Greta Van Susteren's in a position now. She did a very good job moderating this debate. She'll probably become the lead person on NewsMax. She'll become like I don't know who, like Brett Baer is on Fox, or how Chris Wallace used to be. Like if Fox News did a debate or had a big political interview, it was Chris Wallace when he was there. Greta Van Susteren is going to become the number one political like lead anchor on Newsmax, and that's going to give her access to President Trump down the road when he's back in office for a second term and all of this, and President DeSantis when that comes. And I really don't like the idea of the Church of Scientology having that kind of inroads into the Trump MAGA world. Okay, so the other problem that I have with her, and you guys can let me know what you think. I mean, the other problem I have with her is going back to the O.J. Simpson trial. Okay, the first time that I ever heard of Greta Van Susteren, and this is probably true of most people, is she was a CNN legal correspondent during the O.J. Simpson trial. Mm-hmm. And O.J. Simpson said that she was his favorite commentator during the trial, that he watched her in his cell every night during the trial. And when OJ got away with killing 2 people, when he brutally murdered 2 people, when he was acquitted of a crime everyone knew that he committed, even the members of the jury believed and knew he did it, he went home, he invited only one reporter to come home with him on that day to his mansion in Brentwood, and that was Greta Van Susteren. So someone that is trusted by O.J. Simpson like that is also someone that gives me pause. And Greta Van Susteren, that's to me is not a resume-enhancing endorsement. O.J. Simpson, the butcher of Brentwood.
All right, so why do you think Newsmax hired her? What do you
she's
think?
A name.
That's the only reason?
And she's liked. People like her. I like her. Listen, people...
You're sending mixed signals here.
She's likable. She's charming.
Look, I don't care about her personal life. I like her shows. I think she's interesting. I think she does a good job, has good guests, and I think they're trying to build a political team, which they need to do, because the elections are coming up in November, and they need to have a political panel that can compete with the bigger names.
Yeah.
And maybe she's going to be a part of that political panel. They have Dick Morris there, who's always good. He has a show on the weekends. His insight's always interesting because he knew the Clintons so well.
I love Newsmax. I'm a huge fan of Newsmax.
Yeah, but they need to have a good, don't you agree, a good political panel for the elections?
Yeah, I'm like one of the biggest supporters of Newsmax. I think Chris Ruddy, who's the founder of Newsmax, I've been following Chris Ruddy when he was just like, had like a a newsletter, and he would like had videotapes and stuff about the Vince Foster suicide, and he didn't have anything before there was even a NewsMax magazine. And Steve Kane and I both had one of the very first subscriptions to NewsMax magazine. We got they subscribed us to it when it first went public.
Yeah, we still get their
magazine.
Yeah,
we get the magazine. And so
it's a good magazine.
I support Chris Ruddy. I support NewsMax, and I'll watch, and I do like Greta Van Susteren, but those two things I mentioned are things that you just have to keep your eye on, in my opinion.
I think Fox News might be reluctant to let people go because they might end up on NewsMax.
Yeah. Now, listen, Father's Day is coming up, just a few short weeks, and of course, Father's Day is the most important day of the year, and there is no greater gift for Dad on Father's Day than a MyPillow bathrobe and a pair of my slippers from MyPillow. And there is not a MAGA dad in this world that does not want a MyPillow bathrobe. And if you go to MyPillow.com with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, you can get the MyPillow bathrobe for 30% off. Pretty good deal. Now listen to this. This is an amazing deal, this next one. At MyPillow.com, click on the radio listener specials. This is a Father's Day special, but they've expanded it to the women's too. The MyPillow My Slippers, regular price $139.98. With our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, just $49.98 on the MyPillow My Slippers. Both men and women, all sizes, all styles. That's $90 off with our promo code Kane. This is the lowest price ever. This special will end without notice. When they start running out of sizes and colors and different, they're just going to end it with no announcing it. So now's the time. $90 off the MyPillow My Slippers. Perfect gift for Father's Day, but this special does include both the male and female My Slippers. Okay, they're not discriminating, but it is for Father's Day. So $49.98, $90 off the MyPillow My Slippers at MyPillow.com. Click on the radio listener specials and use our promo code Kane, Kane, at checkout.
If you sew patriotic and MAGA shirts, clothing, mugs, hoodies, and more, there's just one place you need to go where you will find all the pro-conservative designs you will ever need. Right Way Design Company on Etsy. Online at etsy.com/shop/rightwaydesign.co. They have a great selection of patriotic, pro-Trump, and Americana designs. You can simply download them and add them to your favorite products. Whether you want to make a t-shirt for yourself or sell them in your store, Right Way Design Company has amazing designs that will make you proud to be an American. These designs are perfect for events, rallies, or just wearing around town. Show your pride in MAGA and America with designs from Right Way Design Company on Etsy. All the designs come to you in a PNG digital file that are ready to place on your favorite items. They're very affordable too. Right Way Design Company on Etsy. Online at etsy.com/shop/rightwaydesign.co. That's etsy.com/shop/rightwaydesign.co. It's game time. Game time is an attitude and a way of life. So what does that mean? It's about hydroaffirmation and about physical as well as mental health. At hydroaffirmation.com, you can get a water bottle that encourages you to make healthy choices for your body and your mind. The goal at hydroaffirmation.com is to help spread mental health awareness and the importance of speaking things into existence on a daily basis, as well as reducing waste with their non-plastic bottles. Their BPA-free reusable double insulated stainless steel water bottle features their beautifully 3D printed original hydro affirmation artwork that includes a steel cap, plastic cap, and recycled clear bumper. They use only the best materials, technology, and design to give you a premium product that's built to stand up to your rough, busy lifestyle and still look great when it's sitting on your desk, at work, or tucked in your gym bag. Hydroaffirmation.com helps you become more aware of your thoughts and your feelings so you can control them instead of letting them control you. It's about daily affirmation and hydration. To learn more, visit hydroaffirmation.com. Also, find them on Instagram at hydroaffirmation. Get your reusable stainless steel water bottle today. Nourish yourself and affirm your desires. hydroaffirmation.com. What do you need help with right now? Anxiety? Insomnia? Stress? Stomach issues? Skin conditions? What about chronic pain? Or maybe something else? Have you thought about CBD? PureNaturalsHealth.com offers pure and natural CBD products that can help with many ailments that we all experience. Farmed in the fertile soil of Colorado, PureNaturalsHealth.com CBD is highly concentrated and effective. PureNaturalsHealth.com not only brings you the finest CBD, but at great prices. Right now, everything on the site is 20% off. That's right, 20% off. Better healing, flexibility, sleep, anxiety reduction, and more. PureNaturalsHealth.com.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast. Broadcasting from sunny South Florida, Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Now, on yesterday's program, we were talking about State Farm Insurance Company. You guys listen to yesterday's podcast? Mm-hmm. And they had this bizarre LGBTQ trans book thing they were promoting. We took strong issue with it, did a whole chunk of yesterday's podcast talking about State Farm getting into this trans education of elementary school children. And we were talking about canceling our policies. And Kathy and I both have been with State Farm since we were in high school in the 80s. I've been with State Farm since 1987.
A lot of our listeners have been with them
longer.
Since high school.
Some of that, yeah. My first car, I was 16, 1987, and I was insured by State Farm, and I've been insured with them ever since. Kathy and I have had State Farm our entire marriage, all of our cars, and we've been very loyal State Farm customers. And we were talking about canceling and what should we do and all of this. And what happened? We uploaded the podcast, and today. First thing this morning, State Farm announced that they are discontinuing that transgender book program, that they have dropped it completely 100%. And so far as I know, we were the only ones talking about it yesterday.
You never know. First the Swift boating, then the baby formula, now this. We are changing the world.
That's amazing. No one talked about that State Farm insurance thing except us yesterday. And I'm very happy, whether it's our responsibility that they ended it or not. I'm very happy that they reversed it, and we do not have to cancel our State Farm now. Just like Netflix, they caved.
Right. And the thing is, what's scary with the State Farm is the only reason we all knew about it was because a whistleblower in the company let people know what was going on in the meetings. And I really admire these whistleblowers and these companies that are exposing what's going on, because otherwise, we never would have known, and they would have continued with this ridiculous program.
So at the end of last week, we were talking, Nancy Pelosi's cardinal in San Francisco announced that she is no longer permitted to take Holy Communion at Mass. And we talked about this a lot. This is a big deal. The Catholic service, the Catholic Mass is all about taking communion. And we were talking on the show, I think it was Friday's podcast. If I were told by the bishop or the cardinal or anyone, the priest, that I was no longer permitted to take Holy Communion, I would feel as if I was excommunicated from the church. It's a big deal. And a second bishop came forward. They're all bishops, including the Pope. The Pope is the Bishop of Rome. The Bishop of Rome assumes the Pope job. So they're all cardinals and everything. They're all bishops. Okay, they're just different jobs among bishops.
They've had bishops and things since the beginning.
Yeah, the Pope
of the church.
the Pope is the Bishop of Rome.
And the first Pope was.
My mind just went blank.
You should know this. We learned this in.
I know. I'm Catholic.
Class. St. Peter.
Yeah, St. Peter. That's right. That's correct.
Yes.
And he was the first Bishop of Rome.
Pope.
So a cardinal and all that. A cardinal's a bishop too. They're all bishops. But anyway, another bishop, I think in Denver, also backed up the San Francisco cardinal and said no communion, for her. And then, of course, a bishop on the East Coast said she could. And as opposed to changing her sinful ways, what Pelosi decided to do was go on Morning Joe on MSNBC and defend herself and attack the bishop and the cardinal for denying her communion. So let me share this with you. I'll play this, then we'll talk about it. This is Pelosi on Morning Joe Scarborough.
What's so sad about it, and as you're speaking, I'm thinking of some of the discussions I've had with other members of Congress over time. And what is important for women to know and families to know, that this is not just about terminating a pregnancy. So these same people are against contraception, family planning, in vitro fertilization. It's a blanket thing, and they use abortion as the front man for it while they try to undo so much. That's what they tried to do in the Affordable Care Act, which didn't have anything about terminating an abortion, a pregnancy. So let's just say that I wonder about death penalty, which I am opposed to. So is the church, but they take no action against people who may not share their view. Thank you for referencing the Gospel of Matthew, which is sort of the agenda of the church.
Okay. So she said they don't deny people communion who support the death penalty. Now, you heard someone on Fox actually today make a very good point about this. It was Martha McCallum, who's starting to look old.
She's still pretty, though.
Yeah, she's.
We all get old.
Yeah, but when you put so much makeup on your face and don't put any on your neck, you gotta have the neck and the face match. But anyway, Martha McCallum on Fox News made a very, very sharp observation on that. When she's comparing abortion and the death penalty, she's acknowledging that they both involve life and death decisions.
That's right. They both involve a life being terminated. Mm-hmm. That's what she said. And she was talking to Father Jonathan, who's still a contributor, who's married now with a baby.
He's not a father anymore. He used to be.
Yeah, but I still call him Father Jonathan. I really like him. But he was on, and he didn't even bring up that point. And she said it's kind of ironic or hypocritical of her, or very telling, that she compares the death penalty to abortion. She's basically saying abortion is involving ending a life, because that's the same comparison. And, of course, the person interviewing Pelosi would not make that comparison. But I will say this in defense of Nancy Pelosi, which I never thought I'd do. The whole thing with communion is you're supposed to be in communion with the church, with God, to take communion. The church is full of sinners. How many adulterers take communion? How many, like she said, people that are pro-death penalty take communion? These are people that are breaking the 10 Commandments, like thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not cover thy neighbor's wife. How many people covet things their neighbor has? People are sinful and go to church and take communion full of sin. Now, the difference might be, you could make the argument that she is actually a politician who's affecting policy, which is different than a regular lay person who just has an opinion that really doesn't have an effect on the national, what's actually happening nationally.
It's more than that, okay?
I mean, she's actually affecting policy that results in the death of babies.
It's more than that. It's more than that. Nancy Pelosi openly advocates for abortion, and she's done it her whole life, and is even doing it today on Morning Joe.
True.
The people you're talking about, the easy one to pick is the adulterer, okay? The adulterer is not typically, unless they're like a swinger. Okay, I don't think many swingers are going to church taking communion.
You never know.
But the adulterers are not publicly on national television advocating for adultery. They're doing a thing in secret.
Or changing laws.
Well, another thing. Okay, then another thing Nancy Pelosi does. Okay, it's not just that she advocates in the form of changing laws. She votes in favor. The Congress, the two houses have different realms. The House of Representatives is in charge of the money. They decide, more so than the Senate, where all the money gets spent.
So she's funding it.
She's paying for abortions worldwide, and every year they give tens of millions of dollars to Planned Parenthood, plus they pay for things all the base.
So what about politicians that are for the death penalty, which she is now? Are funds given to that? I don't think so.
Well, sure. The federal government pays for the death penalty.
So politicians that are pro death penalty, she's making the comparison. How come they're not denied communion?
Well, I think the reason that is because that's kind of like a settled thing. It's not really being debated right now, and also it's hard to worry about the serial rapist and murderers. when you got innocent little babies that are being aborted.
Well, I'll tell you the difference.
It's just to me.
The Bible talks now in the Old Testament. The Bible talks about an eye for an eye, and what that means is you commit a crime, then the punishment has to fit the crime. So if you're a murderer, according to the Old Testament, then you deserve to be murdered yourself or deserve to be killed eye for an eye. That does not fit in with abortion. A baby is innocent. Even if a baby comes from a rape or incest, that is an innocent victim that had nothing to do with the decision-making of being conceived at all. It's an innocent byproduct of that. And for her to make the comparison, comparing abortion to the death penalty, not only is she saying that abortion is that the baby is life, she's comparing innocent babies to criminals. Yeah. I mean, what is wrong with this woman? She's comparing an innocent baby to Ted Bundy,
she's sick.
Or Jeffrey Dahmer, or Gacy. Mm-hmm. People that go to the death penalty are mass murderers, serial killers. They're the worst of society. She is making the comparison of them to an innocent child. They're not the same thing. If you are pro-death penalty, to me, that is not the same thing as being pro-choice. And for her to make that comparison is beyond sickening. Yeah, and Martha's right. She's basically admitting that the baby is you're ending a life.
She's a sick woman. I'm opposed to the death penalty. I just don't talk about it that much because, like I say, it's hard to get out there and worry about the kiddie rapist, the adult rapist, and the mass murderers when you got the other thing going on.
No, I'm opposed to it too. Yeah. I only think God should be able to take a life. Yeah. That's how I
So now I want to take a moment to thank all of our Patreon supporters for their support of the program. Thank you so much, all of you Patreon supporters. Your support means a lot, and it does help us out a lot. And there are benefits to becoming a Patreon supporter. Patreon supporters have available to them a commercial-free edition of each and every podcast episode. So if you become a Patreon supporter, you get that commercial-free edition of every episode. And I know the Patreon supporters enjoy that, and I hear from Patreon supporters all the time about that. And also, just clearing my throat. Also, our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you shout-out on each and every episode. So the names you will hear now are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, Gary, ETW, Chuck, Dee, Pamela, Jacqueline, Rich, Rick, and Nick. These are our top Patreon supporters. Thank you all. And also, Kathy and I also put other things up on our Patreon page. We kind of treat it like the old days of putting things up on your personal Facebook page. On the Patreon page looks a lot like a Facebook page, and we do post things up there on our Patreon page that only Patreon supporters get to see. We do Patreon exclusive podcast episodes. We just did over the weekend. We did an episode on Sunday of our podcast that is available only to Patreon supporters.
Yes, I made wallpapers, Trump wallpapers for the phone.
Yeah,
I'll
that's
be making
right.
some more of those soon.
Yeah, and also from time to time, I make videos, vlogs, and things that I give access to Patreon supporters only. And when I do vlog, I put the videos. I usually give access to the Patreon supporters before I upload it to everyone else on YouTube. So there are perks.
Lots of perks.
Plus, you're supporting the program, which is that's a great perk, I guess, for us. But we appreciate it. And if you would like to become a Patreon supporter, there's a link in the description of this and every episode. So click that link. It'll take you to our Patreon page and walk you through everything. This World Economic Forum that's going on, this is one of the officials, I think from Australia. I could be wrong about the country, but one of the lady officials at the World Economic Forum was talking. I want to play a clip. It's the only clip I'm playing from the World Economic Forum. Here's the deal with the World Economic Forum, okay? The rest of the world, I know a lot of people think Americans are arrogant for thinking this way, but even with Joe Biden, okay, and his cognitive decline and all these other problems, we're still number one in the world. It may not seem that way today because Joe Biden's so checked out, but don't worry, America will be back in 2024 with Trump and everything else. The rest of the country, these countries that you see represented at the World Economic Forum are mostly loser countries that have very small economies, and most of them basically are tourist traps for American tourists. They produce nothing. They haven't been important for centuries. The ones that ever were important, most of them never were important. right? And they get to feel important because as a collection of one, they gather together, and liberal American leaders go there and with checkbooks and want to have a one world government. And it makes them feel like they're winners and number one like America, but they're not. And I know a lot of people get upset at the World Economic Forum. And I've heard from a lot of people this week, oh, Brian, you're not talking about it. You're not excited. You're not upset. I believe the World Economic Forum is even less significant than the UN. I don't worry about the UN either. America's number one, and these other countries are just a loose collection of loser countries that have nothing.
Well, I think people are concerned about it because, for example, here's a guy speaking there saying they want to develop an individual carbon footprint tracker to monitor what you buy, what you eat, and where you travel. And I think people are concerned about it because talk of the Great Reset, talk of globalism, and they see these people, America is greater, but we have Joe Biden in charge, who's a globalist, and collectively all these countries can affect a weaker America. I think we are weaker with Joe Biden in charge.
That's for sure, with Biden in charge.
And look at all the things that have happened with him at the helm. This is a perfect time for globalism and the Great Reset to take effect because he is so weak. And they're discussing things about that are globalistic and taking over and monitoring people and having complete control and compliance and things like that. And I think what happened during COVID, I think it gave them a taste. I think it really ramped things up and moved their plan ahead much quicker. And it gave them a taste of that control. Yeah. These are people that are so arrogant. They really feel that their way is the only way, and that we're the ones in their way. And in order to accomplish their end goal, they have to get us in line, whether we want it or not. It's forced complicity. And the things they're talking about at this World Economic Forum are very frightening. And Joe Biden is the kind of leader that will agree with these lunatics and try to implement this kind of stuff. Here, you have a radical leadership right now in the White House. Nobody's running the place. This guy's totally checked out. And it's like, it's like a kindergarten class and the teacher's asleep at the desk and all the kids are running around like crazy. Well, the reason— So they're saying scary things. And I think, I don't know if I agree with you. America, we don't have Trump in the White House. America's not that strong. Yeah, but it's 2.5 years away. Look at all that's happened in the last year and a half. It's been a mess.
One of the reasons I don't worry about it, even with Biden, it's just I'm going to play one clip here in a second of it. But any treaty that is signed by, it has to be ratified by the Senate. There is no way that the United States Senate is going to ratify a treaty with these loser countries with the things they're talking about. Now, let me play this clip. This is one of the lady officials from another country. My memory says Australia, but I guess we'll find out by the accent. And this just tells you the mindset of these
they're globalists.
These leftists from the rest of the world. Listen to this.
They want world domination.
We are finding ourselves in a place where we have increasing polarization everywhere, and everything feels binary when it doesn't need to be. So I think we're going to have to think about a recalibration of a whole range of human rights that are playing out online, from freedom of speech to the freedom to be free from online violence, or the right of data protection to the right to child dignity.
Yeah, she a little slight Australian accent. She is Australian. So we have to rethink our freedoms. They're talking about. Yeah. No, we don't. We don't have to rethink our freedoms.
It's ridiculous.
The most significant thing that happened over there was the World Economic Forum police force doing that raid on Jack Posobiec.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that happened because even though the mainstream media did not carry it, millions of people on social media saw what Europe did to Jack Posobiec, who was just there with a camera, and they were harassing some young vloggers that do what everybody here does in America, film things on their iPhones, and they bring out police with machine guns just because you're filming something on a public sidewalk. And I'm so glad that happened because the people that they harassed with, it wasn't just Jack Posobiec, it was some people with Charlie Kirk. And they're young media influencers, I guess, that made their way to Switzerland. And they have a lot of followers when you add them up together. And young people in this country got to see what it's like in Europe when it comes to freedom. You don't have the freedom to vlog in Europe. And
yeah, but a lot of young people think that's okay. They think he should be policed. They think he should be silenced. Well,
I don't know
these people
about that.
on the left, the Democrats are so radicalized right now. And it's not just here in America. You get from this lady. It's all over the world. This is how they think. And it's scary to me that there's so many leaders that think this way and that they're all on the same page. And I remember my best friend told me about the Great Reset a couple years ago, and she sent me clips. I said, "Oh, pish posh, that's ridiculous. That's not going to happen." It's happening now. That's exactly what their plan is. They want a global thing. They want because imagine the level of money that these people can bring in if they make these issues global issues. They're talking about, this one guy is talking about like a carbon tax. We talked about that a long time ago. Remember, they they were talking about having a carbon footprint tax, monitoring things that you do. We're talking like fines on a much larger proportion, taxes implemented onto you. I can see them down the road giving you a tax for not having an electric car, being taxed for not having solar panels on your house, being taxed as a punishment, being fined as a punishment for not following the rules. The money they can make is astronomical. We're just the Matrix to these people. If you haven't seen that movie, you need to see it. We're just feeding the monster here. And people that talk like this, it scares me. And the reason it scares me, like I said, is Biden is in charge and he likes these people. He agrees with these people. He's very easily influenced because he doesn't know what the hell's going on. And the people that are working for him are in line with these lunatics and want globalism and want complete control. And he's not going to stop them. He's not going to stop it from happening.
Right. You're right. Now,
it's scary. We got 2.5 more years of this nonsense. I don't know. Everybody's excited about the election in November. Say we win the House and Senate. Is that really going to make a difference? I mean, they were in charge under Obama. They didn't do anything then. What the hell are they going to do now?
Now, we're welcoming a brand new sponsor to the program, and this is also a sponsor of the Steve Kane radio show as well as the podcast here. You've seen them on NewsMax TV that we were talking about, Fox News, and all kinds of conservative media. And I'm talking about Balance of Nature. Balance of Nature supplements give you a full day's dose of all the fruits and vegetables you need to have a healthy lifestyle. And when you buy your Balance of Nature products using our promo code at checkout at balanceofnature.com, and of course our promo code is Kane, Kane, you will save 35% off your order at balanceofnature.com when you use our promo code at checkout, Kane, Kane, at balanceofnature.com. We'll be right back.
From author Sheila R. Wiley comes your next must-read book, Lightness and Darkness Cannot Mix. Being involved in a toxic relationship can strip you of living a bound-free life. In Lightness and Darkness Cannot Mix, author Sheila R. Wiley will show readers how trauma transformed her entire life from lightness to darkness. She let her guards down and came face-to-face with the devil. She went from one state of mind to another in a traumatic spiritual battle. Cultivating her relationship with God allowed another chance at the thing called life. By the power and authority of God, he once again showed himself strong and defeated the devil. We can all go through trials and tribulations, but remember the scripture, 1 John 4:4. Ye are of God, little children, and have overcome them, because greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. When you live a life for Jesus Christ, trials and tribulations come. Try not to allow Satan to trick you into thinking that he wins, because he doesn't. Even though you may have fallen, you can get back up more vital and with more power with God's help. Order your copy of Lightness and Darkness Cannot Mix from author Sheila R. Wiley. Available on XylanPress.com. That's XULON Press.com. Do you have any anxious attachments in your relationships? If you answered yes, you are not alone. Millions of people around the world have insecure attachment styles. Anxious attachment is a common form of insecure attachment, and it creates worry and distrust in relationships. The audiobook, Anxious Attachments No More, available on Audible, covers this important topic. When you have an insecure attachment style, you may tend to self-sabotage your relationships, and you may feel unable to trust your partner's love. You may think that you were never going to be worthy of another person's love, and you worry that they will someday betray you. Those worries are based on the past issues that have taught you to expect certain types of treatment in relationships, and those expectations make you feel insecure and anxious. This audiobook will give you insight and help you develop healthy relationships. Anxious Attachments No More. Order your copy right now on Audible. Do you know what your future holds? Are you uncertain about your relationships, your career, or your health? Psychic Stephanie can help at ManifestationPsychicEmporium.com, where you will get advice from the stars and planets. ManifestationPsychicEmporium.com creates forecasts for every zodiac sign. You can find out if the moon's position presents any new opportunities. Is today the day to start a business, a new journey? Should you start to question motives in your relationship? Psychic Stephanie is here to help. A change in spiritual body can be a change of atmosphere. Psychic Stephanie offers all types of spiritual services, candles, conjure oils, and much more. She's also a certified Reiki practitioner with over 20 years of experience. She's worked with clients all around the world. She can also restore damaged and broken relationships. Visit Psychic Stephanie's website today and see what the future holds for you. ManifestationPsychicEmporium.com. Call now for a better life. 713-858-5777. 713-858-5777.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks for everyone for tuning in. Make sure that you follow and subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to us on.
I wanted to bring this up real quick.
Oh, yes.
Libs of TikTok, always good. They have a graphic from a middle school in Illinois, and it gives instructions to teachers, and it says, identify your classroom as a safe space, and it's instructing teachers to put a small rainbow flag on their desk or in your pencil holder. Demonstrate accepting behavior and intolerance for anti-LGBT behavior. Wait a minute. Demonstrate accepting behavior and intolerance for anti-LGBT. Of course, well, teachers are always dealing with bullying, and bullying of any kind is never allowed. Post a safe school sign somewhere in your classroom. Wear an ally button. Now, this graphic is interesting because it doesn't say these are suggestions. These are orders. The teacher is required to do this. And I promise you that the principal or the APs or even the department heads will go around to the classrooms and to see if they have a rainbow flag somewhere in their classroom and make sure. Because this is not, because sometimes when you're teaching, they give you suggestions on curriculum or you have to follow the standards of the state, but they'll give you suggestions on decor or things you can do. This is not a suggestion. These are required. So now teachers are required to put up a rainbow flag. You know, look, I have no problem with LGBT anything. I really don't. I know people that are gay and people in my family are gay. I have no problem with it. And I think God loves everybody. But I don't like this activism that is going on in classrooms. Bullying is a problem in all schools, across all grades, and all kinds of kids are picked on. Okay, you can get picked on for wearing glasses. Remember, they used to call you Four Eyes? Mm-hmm. I mean, kids are picked on all the time for things. Bullying as a whole should not be tolerated. I don't like this activism where they have to put a rainbow flag on their desk or in your pencil holder to show solidarity with these gay kids or so-called gay kids. And you even have liberals now, like Bill Maher, and then this other guy who was a big trans activist in the 70s and 80s, who are actually now coming out and saying that there is indoctrination going on. And I agree with that. There is active indoctrination happening in the schools. And I just think that a teacher should have put up a sign that says no bullying is tolerated. And when a teacher puts up a classroom, they have a list of class rules. You remember them. And a lot of times teachers will say no bullying allowed or tolerated. But why do they have to differentiate between this kind of bullying? And why do they have to put up a flag to let the gay kids know that's safe for them? Okay, so I don't understand this. That is purposefully done to get children used to this idea, to indoctrinate. It is a form of grooming. Whenever you take a young mind and you're sexualizing them in some way and getting them used to some idea that probably shouldn't be discussed in the classroom, to me, that is a form of grooming.
Oh, yeah.
But
no
believe me,
doubt.
this is not a suggestion, putting a rainbow flag on your desk. That is required.
And these are the people that are against saying the Pledge of Allegiance to the United States flag.
They probably would rather have a gay flag in their room than an American flag.
Oh, yeah. Now, I saw this video online this morning, and it just blew me away. And I'm going to share the audio of it with you in just a moment, but just let me do a little setup. This happened at a church in Indiana, where Mike Pence is from. This happened in an Indiana church this past Sunday, and the pastor, his name is John B. Lowe II, L-O-W-E, Lowe II. He got up in front of the congregation during a church service on Sunday, this past Sunday, and confessed that 20 years ago, when he was in his late 30s, he had committed adultery. And the church applauded him. And then, after that, a woman and her husband got up in front of the church, made their way to the stage, got a hold of the microphone from the pastor, and the wife, that followed by her husband, detailed how this pastor took this woman's virginity on the floor of his office when she was 16 years old. And I'm going to play this audio.
This is incredible.
So now keep it. Now, when you're listening to this, this happened during Sunday church services. Everyone is there with their family. It was a packed house. The woman and her husband get up on stage. First, you hear the wife with the microphone. Then the male voice you hear is her husband. The pastor who took her virginity, who groomed her prior to that and took her virginity when she was 16, is standing about 2 feet from her, looking at her while she's saying what you're going to hear. And then her and her husband at the end leave the stage. And then you hear the pastor talk to the congregation, who turn on him, the congregation that was applauding his confession of adultery. Then they turn on the pastor, and
he confesses that he did it. That's true.
Start questioning him. This is amazing. So let's start. Again, the first voice you hear is the woman who had her virginity taken when she was 16 by this pastor, who's still the pastor, and then you hear her husband.
If you love us, please let us talk.
Amen. For 27 years, I lived in a prison. It was not 20 years. I lived in a prison of lies and shame. Lying to protect the Lowe family. For years, I thought I was a horrible person having suicidal thoughts, not realizing what had been truly done to me. That I was a victim, and I would still be in a prison if my brother, and many of you know him, Edgar Wolf, had not approached me just 2 weeks ago with what he had seen as a teenager that bothered him all these years. His pastor in bed with his younger sister, a t-shirt and underwear on. People knew but were too afraid to come forward, and they have now. The lies and the manipulation have to stop. I was a prisoner, and you kept me in your prison. I'm a prisoner no longer. I was just 16 when you took my virginity on your office floor. Do you remember that? I know you do, and I have plenty of other stories that I could bring to your remembrance. You did things to my teenage body that had never and should have never been done. If you can't admit the truth, you have to answer to God. You are not the victim here. I tried to tell someone, but all that was done was cover up. No one ever came to me. No one ever helped me. No one ever got me counseling. I have wanted to talk to lies need to stop. I could give story after story after story to what you did to me. Michael, your dad is not the victim here. A partial truth is not true.
She's telling the truth. You get a call out by her.
If I would have gotten counseling, your dad would be in prison.
Go ahead.
It might not be the way, but every time you covered up for Russ Spangle, my best friend was my age when your associate pastor was molesting his 2 daughters. And you know that. You sent him to be a pastor in another church. We can call Melanie right now, and Cassie, her sister. They sat down with you. You sent Melanie away. Don't look at me like that. You know the truth.
Bobby, I ain't saying anything to make a move.
I know, but you can tell the truth because this is a lie.
I'm letting you tell it.
But you need to tell the truth. You know better than it was.
Listen,
You know
my wife is not just adultery, it's another level when it's a teenager. And I will not let this man talk about my wife like that. It happened for 9 years. When she was 15, 16, the sexual grooming started. And it lasted until she met me and we started dating. This is the truth. And that's all we're going to say. Except, that's
we
it.
have numbers. You can talk to my brother.
That's fine. This necklace was Bobby's, and it was given to her by Joe II and possibly other people in the office. They might have received necklaces too as like a ministry gift. I'm not trying to stretch the truth here, but it was in our house and I'm giving it back. This was Bobby's covenant of purity ring, which she wore while this man had sex with her, and she felt ashamed all these years wearing a covenant of purity ring. She felt a lot of shame and guilt. We are working through love and forgiveness. We're working through it. But people have to be held accountable, and they can't just bamboozle people and just say, well, I just committed adultery. It was far beyond adultery. So here's the covenant of purity ring back. I don't want it in my home. We're done.
Okay, now they leave, and the pastor takes the stage again. Hear the pastor.
I told you I committed adultery. I told you it went on far too long.
Did you do it? That's all we need to know.
Yes, we did.
You didn't tell them she was 14 years old.
No, at 16.
Sorry, 16.
She was 16 years old, Jay. Okay? And it was wrong. I can't say it. I can't make it right. I can't make it any better. That's just the way it is. It's not all true, but that did happen, yes. She should have. I can't do anything about that except to tell you that if I could go back and redo it all, I would. I can't. And all I can do is ask you to forgive me. And I'm doing what the Bible process or biblical process is in the church. I'm stepping down, stepping aside. And, it's been 20 years. I guess it doesn't count for anything. We love them. I deeply hurt them. I deeply hurt you. I ask you to forgive me.
Well, that's amazing. And
that is incredible.
And you got to remember in the beginning, he, for some reason, maybe he thought this was coming out. He went up and at the beginning and confessed that he had committed adultery, but he didn't tell them it was a 16-year-old
I wonder
girl.
There's a reason. Usually when these pastors come out and admit what they've done, it's because they know they've got caught and they have to do a preemptive strike. And I'm curious about, and I'm proud of this woman for coming forward. And I think it was really important for her husband to come up and back her up. Because unfortunately in society, when women come forward with allegations like this, some people see them as Jezebels or don't take them as seriously. Yeah. But the fact that her husband was up there and said, I'm not going to let you talk about my wife like this, I think was extremely impactful. And if she went up there alone, I don't think it would have had the same impact as with her. Yeah. But it's very interesting. I'd like to know, has this woman been attending this church all along?
It's unclear.
And why? Did she just show up for this? Obviously, there's a culture in this church because she mentioned other pastors that were having sex with teenage girls that were sent away.
Yeah.
So clearly there's a culture of abuse with these leaders. And this goes on in the Catholic Church too. This is a common thing in these churches.
Well, and there's no way that this is the only girl this guy stepped out with. And, I thought it was interesting when her
poor wife,
her husband showed this necklace and the purity ring as if this was kind of almost like a serial killer as a little trinket. Like he was saying, are there other girls that he gave this necklace to?
And then he threw it on the ground.
Yeah. That was just a phenomenal thing. I've never seen anything like that before.
I love how the one parishioner said, you didn't tell us she was 14, and then he answers her trying to defend himself. Well, she was really 16.
Well,
that makes it any better.
And, a couple of things about this. I read an article about this today. The age of consent in Indiana is 16.
Yeah.
So
he won't go to jail.
So it sounds like he was doing that textbook grooming, waiting until she was 16,
That's
which
exactly
is legal age in Indiana. And even at the end, when he's up there, I'm confessing, asking for forgiveness, he said, not all of it's true. I think everything she said was true.
Well, he did that to discount her.
He's not fully even admitting, but everything she said was true. And there's probably a lot more she didn't need to get into. But for him to say it's not all true, what part isn't true?
That was a way of discounting her. But like I said, I think it's good her husband went up there, backed her up.
That's amazing moment.
It gave more power to what she was saying. And, he knew all about it. And I'm just wondering what the catalyst was for him to go forward. She did say that her brother came to her 2 weeks prior. And I wonder if the brother talked to the pastor and said, you need to confess this or I'm going to do it for you. Because she said, my brother came to me 2 weeks ago and told me he saw us in bed together. So I bet the brother went to the pastor. There is a reason he had started admitting this in front of the whole congregation of adultery.
He didn't just do
this on his own out of the kindness of his own heart.
He was.
And by the way, I love how these people, especially pastors, reference the Bible to ask for forgiveness and use religion when it's convenient for them. Let me tell you, Peter, he struck a man dead because he didn't give him all his money when the church was first starting. So let me tell you, the apostles did not tolerate monkey business in the early church, okay? So I don't like when pastors or people of faith that are leaders get up there and then are like, well, you're supposed to forgive me and this and that. Yeah, we can forgive you, but we'll forgive you as you're leaving the church and never coming back. What a disgrace.
Well, and it's unfortunate.
I wonder if his wife knew about this.
The media, this story here is an amazing story. The video, I played the audio. The video of it's very good, and it's something I've never seen before.
Brian's Facebook group if you want to watch it.
Yeah, and and I did tweet it.
Very compelling.
The media, we were talking about this the other day about how the media don't cover any news. They're so political. The media, I know there's a big election today in Georgia, and I get it. So they have a bit of an excuse, but this should be all over the media because there are women and girls that are being abused like this all over the place, and this is like the most courageous woman I've ever seen. A lot of time you'll see people that come forward when they're adults, and they'll come out to the media. They'll come out with Gloria Allred. I have never seen a woman get up in front of a pastor's congregation during the busiest service of the week, the Sunday morning service, grab the mic from the pastor, take the stage, and confront him like that. I've never seen anything like that.
It's amazing, and more victims need to come forward. And the reason she didn't come forward when she was in her 20s or whatever is because she had been groomed. And she had been manipulated
she thought
and
she
lied
was the
to.
Bad one.
And and I'm sure he told her things like, if you tell anybody, you'll destroy the church, you'll destroy my family, you'll destroy everything. And that's what predators do. They convince the victim that if they come forward, they're going to destroy all these lives and they're going to create a big problem. But when you get older and wiser, you realize these things.
That's right.
And more women need to come forward. And the way she did it was
amazing.
She didn't go on TV or go on a talk show. She called him out right in front of the church, and that takes guts.
Well, listen, we are all out of time for today. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll talk to you next time.
Are you a business owner, an executive, or part of your company's management team? Being an effective leader and communicator with your staff is important for your company's success. These are not skills that come naturally to everyone. Sometimes you need help and guidance, and that is what you will find in the book series from author Phil Robert Luckey, available on Amazon. His books include Communication at the Workplace, which will help you sharpen your communication skills to advance your career. Leadership Skills for Managers and Public Organization. This book will help you overcome your fears and mental barriers to be an effective leader. The Bad Leader is a guide on how to understand and solve the problems of self-deception, anxiety, and anger, which will prevent you from being a bad boss. Win, Easy, More, Always shares powerful secrets on becoming a winner. Leadership, the Complete Guide, 2 books in 1, is already used by many professionals. This is the ultimate leadership guide that's based on tips and case studies involving numerous important and influential historical and contemporary leaders. These books are perfect for corporate events and make great gifts to your management team. Take your career and your company to the next level with the series of books from author Phil Robert Luckey, available on Amazon.